Welcome back to the Chosen Life podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Hacohen. And with us today, magical episode 165. I can't believe we've been able to do this for 165 episodes, and we're not letting up. We're probably going to make it to 1,650 at the rate we're going. And good friend of mine, we're at the Spiritual Book Festival together, the Spiritual Chosen Book Festival. Author of the poetry book Realizations, Kaswithlove, Kasra Kushafar. Kaz, welcome to the Chosen Life.
Thank you for having me.
I gotta say, man, I love the bookmark.
Thank you.
Art is life, life is art.
I felt like what better way to encapsulate what I do and what I feel than by that. I am thinking of creating some new ones that don't include words, but I found that it encapsulated everything the best.
I find it very, very inspiring. I could see reading a book, looking and saying, art is life, life is art, and feeling really good about what I'm doing, and
Yeah,
it's inspiring. And your book Realizations, I gotta tell you, I love the cover. I
thank
love
you.
the scenery, matches our scenery over here,
It really
sort of,
does.
kind of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The fonts you picked, the size of the book, the feel of the cover. This book did not happen by accident. I'm going to take it. There was a lot of love put into this book from conceptualization till final product.
100%. I think it's thinking back, it's even hard to think where it began from, like where it came from, because I remember everything just it didn't happen coherently. It all just fell into place. I remember, for example, the size you mentioned.
Yeah.
It was chosen specifically to match almost identically to the last journal that I finished the book in, and the reason was because it just felt like the perfect size in your hands. It's the perfect. Even the like the actual width of it, it felt perfect. But the part that was the hardest, I think, was the cover.
It the cover is everything. And it's funny, I will profess I did not create the cover of my book,
Mhm.
not even close. I had another idea completely where I was going to go with it.
Mhm.
The publisher introduced me to a person who literally that's his only job in life is to create book covers.
Interesting.
I told him kind of my idea, but I said don't do what I want to do. Like here's the book and here's the whole idea behind the book, and he got some snippets from it. And I said these were my favorite colors, but I said I'm gonna leave it with you and come back and what do you think this book should be?
Mhm.
And he came back with that cover,
Mhm.
and you notice something interesting.
The
The
colors.
bottom of the book.
Yeah.
Interesting how
Yeah.
it kind of flowed that way.
It does, and especially, like, if you think about it, there's blue at the top,
Hmm.
and then it comes down into the hues of orange, yellow, red.
Not an accident. Because to me, the blue is uplifting. Like even in our law firm Kormans, I wanted blue.
Mhm.
Blue I find uplifting. Blue I find rich. Blue I find water, life. And orange is just like it's not fire, but it
Mhm.
like ignites you, like it's passion. So it's a combination of calmness and passion, if that makes sense. That's how I kind of saw it.
Absolutely, and also, when I chose this cover, there were other, like yours as well, other original ideas that I had envisioned, and none of those came through. I mean, one idea was this is the last idea I think I ended off on,
Mhm.
was to have a very abstract drawing of a hand, just the hand. And I know that sounds a little strange, but the idea behind it was because the book, one of the major themes was intimacy. The idea that the hand is one of the first places that we get to feel any form of intimacy, a handshake, or like a touch on the shoulder, a touch on the elbow, or any sort of touch. It's the first, like it has so much meaning in our hands. Obviously the eyes is really the first, but touch is different. However, I wasn't able to find really anyone that was able to draw him, and I was going through my endless pictures of sunsets on my phone. I have like a whole photo album of just sunsets, and that one stuck out because of like the striking contrast of those images, the wispy clouds, like that yellow sun. It's just so vibrant. But then I started to see these, it was a dark image, so it wasn't like perfectly taken. But then the little lights in the houses, it's a beautiful idea in my head when I see apartment buildings and I see little different lights in each apartment, and to think that every person is living their own life. They're doing their own thing. And when I saw that, it kind of coupled together with that. That's an intimate moment they're having in that house.
Love it. Like to me, when I saw it, I saw a lot of intensity. Like to me, this was not a calm sunset.
Mm,
It's not stressful. It's not something's on fire, but to me, there was an intensity to it, which kind of fit in with the idea of realization, awakening, and I thought that
yes,
really fit at the end of the day. So that
absolutely.
so there's kind of that part because the truth is, most of us, don't just have calmness and serenity and just have realization. We have tragedy. We have, events occurring in our life of intensity. And, from tragedy can come passion, can come excitement. But very often we have to be down in order to get up. So to me, a realization usually doesn't happen when you're at the top and life is good and just everybody's
Hmm.
throwing money at you and life is
Hmm.
easy. It's usually when you have hardship and struggle that you have that realization. Am I on base at all for in the
Oh, like 110%. Because a lot of the pieces in that book, they're not light and happy. And my writing in general, really the basis of it is sadness, pain, heartbreak, despair, and all of those negative emotions that we attribute as negative. That's where I draw like the inspiration from. And the whole point of the book was not to be this positive book. It wasn't really meant to incite positive within you. It was meant to incite a question mark, to make you feel like there's something within me and I need to search for that. And so there's a lot of dark pieces in this. Like the topics range from, the idea of being present and the beauty of that, all the way to like suicide and, addiction and all these other things, because those are also realizations too.
when I think of art in whatever form it's in, whether it's a painting, it's a book, poetry, a theatrical play, whatever it be, I feel like the artist at the end of the day, very often the truest form of art is what the art from within.
Hmm.
And when somebody bears their soul, and is ready to put it out there, that's the real stuff. But a lot of people have a hard time putting that out there because they don't want to be judged and they don't want the ramifications. So they either play a character or they give people what they think they want. The way you spoke about the realizations and the difficulties and the hardship when you put this book together, I'm going to assume there's a lot of you and your life within this book.
Absolutely. And I think for a little while it was difficult. I was writing it, I realized how honest it was becoming. And like anybody would think, one of the thoughts in my head was, if my family reads this, if my close friends read this, what will their interpretation of me be then? Because, one thing I'm learning in therapy now is we have a different face we show everyone. We have, a certain face we show as like the son, or, if you have kids, as the father, as the brother, as the friend. So every person in my life sees a different version of me to a
Mm.
degree, right? And not everyone sees 100%. I mean, do I even see 100% to myself? That's another philosophical question we can answer possibly, but uh that was a really scary thought, but it slowly dissipated when I realized that that doesn't matter, because the purpose to get this out there, the inspiration that it can bring to people just like me, is bigger than the fear of what would people think.
I gotta say, at least from experience, because when I'm hearing about you and your experience in writing and what you're putting out there, I can't help but think what I did when I put mine out there and what my thought process was. And I've come to realize something that I didn't realize until this moment. So you helped me with this. So I gotta thank you for this. This is almost like my therapy
Now
now.
I'm curious, yeah.
Because I really went out with the idea when I started the book, the idea was I'm gonna create the Mona Lisa. I want to create the greatest book that I could write. I want to put myself and my heart into this. And I want something to leave as a legacy piece that I can help future generations to come. And all the stuff that I went through in my life and what I did to get myself to where I am, I wanted to be able to show people you're not alone in this. And guess what? There's others like us. And here's what I did. Here's what could help you. And I really wanted to help people today, tomorrow, and into the future. But I come to realize that actually it was a lot of therapy for me. I
Hmm.
got to release a lot that was within me. I got to let it go. I got to be at peace with things. As much about me and saving myself as it was saving others.
Mm.
So you'll appreciate when my mom, who's a big reader, like she's the one who taught me to read. Like she was very much instilled me from a day one.
Oh, I think I remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you telling me this. Yeah.
the whole thing about like going to the library on a Saturday as a young kid. I'm like 5 6 years old, get 7 books every day. You got to read a book. That's it. She really built that love of reading in me, leading to wanting to write. So I figured this would be the person who most want to read the book on this face of this earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so she gets a copy of her book, says to me, first of all, I'm in the middle of another book. So when I finish that other book, then I'll start yours. And I look at her and I'm like, I don't know how often one of your kids writes a book, but sure, start it whenever you feel like it.
Yeah.
Don't care. Cool. So maybe 2 3 months later, I come over to the house for dinner and I see the book there and I see like there's a bookmark and it's maybe like around chapter 2 3, something like that. It's really early on in the book.
Mm-hmm.
She looks at me, she says, so I'm not going to be reading your book. Started reading your book, not interested, many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, tell me, like, I'm curious, please. I love feedback.
I kind of have some assumptions on her reasons, but I really want to hear like what were her actual reasons.
Well, there was two main reasons. How about that? I'll narrow it down to two main reasons.
Okay.
Reason number one is based on my age in my 80s. I am where I am at life. Nobody can help me. I'm not going to change how I think. I'm not going to invoke your systems. I'm not going to drink more water. I'm not going to eat better. I'm not going to exercise. All these things are not for me. I'm not into self-improvement whatsoever. This is the life I have. Not interested. No help. I'll read it out of curiosity just to humor you, but like, no, I'm not your target audience because I don't want to improve.
Mm-hmm.
That's her look. I remember being in yoga and meeting a guy in his 70s. And in honor of his birthday, when he turned 70, we all had to do 70 crunches. And he was 70 at yoga and he was doing it. So I believe any age group can do this. So it's fair enough,
Very
but not
true.
me. But when I read your book, I came to realize, and she's not watching this, so I'm not too worried about that. But I must have been a very terrible mother because look at how unhappy you were. Look at all the struggles you had. Obviously, I didn't do a very good job. I said to her, it's funny because I put a disclaimer throughout that this had nothing to do with anybody externally. You could have given me the best life and been the best mother, and I could have the best circumstances. What was in my head, how I interpreted things, how my experiences led me to be where I was. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for a long time. And one of the things you're talking about, love, Kaz with love, because,
Mm-hmm.
everything starts with love. Well, chapter 1 of my book was love. I agree with
As
you.
it should be.
We were born, theoretically, we were conceived out of love,
Yeah.
born into love. And when we pass in love,
Mm-hmm.
theoretically, in a perfect world.
That's a beautiful way.
But I came to realize 30s, at least 30, 35 years old, I don't love myself. Never loved myself. Don't even know if I respect myself. And I'm just going through the motions because this is what society tells me I need to do. And I am very unhappy. I've been very unhappy for a long time, but I've just been faking it because that's what I got to do. I've been very good at that, but I have to be real with myself. I don't like where life is at. It's a
Mm-hmm.
hard realization to be there.
It is. And there's just, you said so many beautiful things. There's so much to reply to. Like the fact that, not liking where you're at in the moment. After I wrote that book, life was like at an extreme high. I think my life has like it to this point, it almost peaked at that point because I was writing every single day. I was so in tune emotionally, spiritually. I was so connected to the universe. And it kind of peaked and then it slowly went down. And the feelings of what am I doing with my life? Am I enough? Inadequacies, insecurities, like a volcano about to erupt, they slowly start to bubble again. And I would say in the last couple months is in that bubbling phase where I realized this is the beginning of a new chapter now. This is the beginning of another book. These new visions start to come to me. And I've been embarking on that journey now, and I slowly feel myself almost becoming bulletproof. Our acts of expression are like bulletproof vests, it seems, because we safeguard ourselves to the world and we do the thing that we really want to do. And I get that. Also, it's funny because my mom and dad, I got to give you a little background, I guess, on my family as
Please,
well.
please, yes.
So my mom and dad are both very spiritual in their own way. But my dad is a very avid reader. So my dad on my side of the family was like the reader. He still is. But his choice of books are philosophy and poetry, specifically poetry, Persian poetry, philosophy, Western, European, Schopenhauer, and the likes. When I was growing up, and obviously I was writing for a huge portion of my life, at the beginning, it's elementary. Your writing is nowhere near what it is, for example, today, but you're still writing nonetheless. They, for the longest time, would consistently talk about other poets throughout history and, would always be like adorning them and just talking about them and telling them how great it is and to sharing it with me. And anytime that I would come to share a poem, it would almost be like pushed to the side because it was like, "Mm, what you're saying is not that important. It's not that great." When this book came out, they were like utterly shocked. Where did this come from? How did this come about? And my mom was actually the first person that purchased the book. And I was very glad that her English is not great, so she couldn't read it.
Yeah.
I was like almost grateful because, to be honest, it's not really for her to read. She won't understand. And even my dad as well, they'll only understand to a degree. They'll understand from a that's my son perspective. But the world looks at it from, I have no relation to this person. What is this person actually saying? It's not biased. It's not, you're not there with a motive. Your only motive is to better yourself, right? But my mom or my dad wouldn't read it from that perspective. They would look at it from a, well, what did he actually write? Why did he say that? And my mom would say the exact same thing your mom said.
My mom's reaction when I came to her and told her I met a publisher, I pitched my idea, and they want to sign me and they want to work with me and they love my idea. Uh, what was her reaction? Really? They want to sign you to write a book? You're not that interesting. What do you have to write about? Why would anybody want to read you? I don't understand that. There's so many authors out there. Why would they pick you? And I looked at her and I'm like, that's why I'm in therapy. That's your opinion. That's cool. And it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
And that doesn't phase me. It's all good. I'm proud of me. That's it.
As you should be.
And I've done that for a long, long time. And man, like I think about how many people I see on a daily basis. I see spouses sitting there and signing a real estate transaction as a real estate corporate lawyer. I bring in the clients or we meet on Zoom and Zoom type room and they're signing and one spouse looking for the other spouse's approval, a child looking for their parents, confirmations. It's a coworker looking for their boss to pet them on the head and say everything is
Mm.
good. And it's this empty road where no matter what they're doing, it's never enough because they're never going to get that fulfillment. And ultimately, to me at least, it came down to it because they're not good within themselves. If they can't be good within themselves and feel good about themselves, all the external love and admiration never ever will get them anywhere, unfortunately. Because I know because I've been down that road. And that's what I try to put as far as exposing myself and talking about my stories, not because I'm trying to belittle myself or bring myself down. It's to really show the world, hey, I'm real, you're real. We can talk at the same language. Because it's funny, we're talking and we're having a group therapy right now,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's not, when we're in this experience, let's say with our parents, for example, it's very easy to feel, wow, everybody else has these great parents out there that love them and respect them, and I'm the only one, and no, we're all in the same boat. But our parents, in fact, like I can speak for my family at least, I know deep down they love me somewhere, and I know they don't want to hurt me. This is their way of motivating. This is the way, like I remember being in grade 5 and grade 6, grade 7. Hey mom, I got an A. Really? How did so and so do? How did they do and how did they do? Oh, they got A's too. Guess you didn't do that well then,
Mm.
And that comparison would drive me up the freaking wall. And even now, like I see, I'm almost 50 years old. And I look at a group of friends and people that have known each other since grade 1 and they're not friends anymore. Why? Because they're jealous. because one person makes more than the other. Somebody has more net worth than the other. Somebody has a more prestigious job than the other. And I'm like, for real? Like, guys, we're almost 50 here. Like, it shouldn't matter about that. There's not gonna be somebody better off than us, worse off than us, but like, we like to spend time with one another. That's what friendship is supposed to be about. But you know what? Those comparisons don't stop just at home. And it's a sad, sad world. And sometimes that's why I like to detach. That's why for a
Hmm.
guy who I think I might be extroverted, I like to be introverted simply because I don't want to deal with this world anymore. And it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. No, I agree. And to be honest, like it's so easy to compare. It's so, especially nowadays, you got Instagram. Any second you're watching a gazillion stories or you're scrolling and you see people, they're traveling, and look at the fashion that they're wearing, look at the qualities that they have, or look at the partner that they have, and it's so easy to compare, and what does that do to our creative expression? You see somebody, oh, this person's written like 10 books, oh, this person's like published and now they're in Indigo, or this, and you compare, right? And what if every single person did that? What if every single person looked at someone else doing better and decided not to do it?
We're all going to sit in caves in the dark because nothing will ever get done.
Exactly.
Nobody will create anything.
Yeah,
Nothing will ever evolve in our society. That's what I think will happen.
I agree.
Kaz, with your assistance here and your permission, I would love to bring you back next week because the producers are waving me. We're out of time. But I want to come back next week on positivity because I want to stop the comparisons and help people create on their own. You with me?
I'm with you. That's a perfect segue, isn't it, for next week?
It really is. So
Yeah.
stay tuned. We're going to teach you how to create and how to find your inner creative self. This is Kasra Kusafar of the book Realizations. And they can reach you at your website, Kaz, K-A-S, with love.
Withlove.com.
KazWithLove.com. We'll be back next week with more love. Chosen Life Podcast.